Will you stop messing with the planets? It's not I just love messing with that cult. Welcome and be inspired with Dominic. Today I want to do a follow-up for the OSB Solar System that I made. There are a few points that I couldn't address in the video because I was more busy doing, well, rhythmic editing, but I like how it turned out, so you get this video. Let's start with turning the spheres. I used these sphere chucks on the lathe, as you saw, but I've recently basically discovered how I should actually have used them, and the way to use them is to clamp them in and then only take off the high spots. Basically go along, and where it takes off material, well, it does. So you shouldn't try to, as I did, actually make a sphere while you have them in the sphere chucks. You take off the high spots, then you stop it and turn it. Spin it again, take off the high spots, and so on. What I did was put them in the chuck, and my thinking was to actually turn the part that's outside the chuck sphere-shaped. But if you remove too much material and then rechuck it in theory and taking it to the extreme, you'd, well, thin that down, then turn it around. You'd have to thin down along there, and so on. You'd turn away the whole material without ever getting a sphere. So only take off the high spots. Yes, I know Saturn should have had rings, or the actual Saturn does have rings. Other planets have rings too, but they're not as prominent. But two things. I couldn't come up with a proper way of making them, especially with the way I wanted to arrange the planets. More on that later. But it would have been interesting to try some kind of OSB shaving in some sort and arrange it in a ring. I didn't think I could pull it off. Also, according to new scientific discoveries, Saturn's rings will be gone in a couple of 100,000 years, so that's pretty nothing at all. I'm just ahead of my time. Well, another point I wanted to address is drilling the actual holes into the planets, or in this case into OSB. This one I pretty much messed up. I think I kinda rhythmically glossed over it in the video, but you can see it's not at all pretty. And yes, I'm standing next to my drill press, which has nothing to do with it, because that's where you could get these kind of holes. The drill quality might be an issue, but, well, this one turned out much better. For comparison, what I did differently was I didn't just go in with a drill, I used a breadpoint bit. With this one I just went in there, and OSB isn't the most, well, laterally sturdy material, so I got a lot of tear out. Pretty much the whole pole there. Here, on your rectum, I didn't go straight in. I put the spur in for registration, and then I angled the bit like this, so the corners on the side would actually scribe a circle, and then I went in. That left me with a clean edge and a nice hole. That would have been a great transition if I was actually able to juggle. Yeah. See what I did there? I didn't talk. That's what I started doing right now at this point, 2 videos ago, 2 project videos I should say. And I have to say I like it. I don't want to get into the details or my feelings about it, since that would make it a shop talk video, and this is supposed to be a follow-up video. But since this was the video where I started it, well, if you have feedback on this, that's the place to leave it. Down there is the place to leave it.
Stop being so childish. Don't mess with our planets.
Who's being childish now? Anyway, there's another point at the other end of the solar system. I actually tried to go all the way using OSB for these planets, but that didn't turn out right, and it's to be expected from the OSB one, because there's little integrity between these layers, but a lot this way. So that's why I used this spalted whatever wood it was. You could probably do OSB if you didn't turn it, but sanded it round and had a sturdy way of holding it, but it'll be a matter of removing very little material at a time to reduce stress. And stress, as we know, is a major problem for these little ones, especially this one. It could do with a lot less stress. Initially, when I made this, I planned it to be a hanging piece. I had the idea of turning OSB planets and a vague idea of how to hollow them out. And then I thought planets, they, well, would make a great mobile. What stopped me from doing that is actually physics, gravity. Because these things, even if I manage to turn them decently hollow, they're still heavy. And if you have a mobile, you have different weight distributions. Against Jupiter, there's not much going, so I decided against that. The next thought was to hang them in a vertical line, which would make an interesting art piece, and it would also work for this kind of solar system, to have it going from, well, whichever you want, farthest to nearest from the sun. But I thought this would be much easier to handle, so that's what you got. Has nothing to do with specifications by the cult, and frankly, if I had done it on a string, it would have been a line, so who knows what would have happened. Another thing that didn't make it into the final video was the dimension I used. I went for a scale factor of 1 to 1,000, so Jupiter is 1,000 times larger than this one, and going with a different scale would have either made Jupiter too large or the smaller planets too small. That's pretty much it for the follow-up. Let me know whether you enjoyed this video and want to see more for future projects, keeping in mind that I will probably talk less, except I can't stop talking completely, which is probably no surprise. Thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed to my channel and shared whichever video tickled your fancy. I have a lot of them by now, so I hope there is something for you there too. That'd be great. On the subject of shameless self-promotion, because the previous part was shameful self-promotion, you can join my cult. It's not a cult yet, but it will be. I'm working on it. You can join me over on Patreon and support my work. Without any perks as of now, but I'll change that at some point, I'm pretty much sure. Yeah, if you want to, sharing my videos also helps me a lot, and yeah, I'm getting shameful again, so I'll stop that. Thanks for watching, and as always, remember to be inspired. And stress is a major problem for the smaller problems,